Rebuilding your swivel should be a regular part of your equipment maintenance program. Your Swivel Rebuild Kit will include the following: bearings, grease seal, rod wiper, O-ring, roll pin, and grease zerk. There are 8 socket head cap screws that fasten the cap and bearing shaft to the swivel body. You will need to remove all 8 of these screws by turning the clevis to reveal their position. Once you've removed the screws, you can slide the bearing shaft out of the swivel body. Drive the roll pin out of the shaft to remove the hex nut. Use a pair of pliers to loosen and remove the hex nut. Now you can begin sliding the bearings off of the bearing shaft. Remove the swivel cap and use a punch to remove the final bearing. You will then need to remove the rod wiper and swivel seal. You will need to use a punch to remove the swivel seal from the cap. Now that the swivel is fully disassembled, you can begin installing your new Swivel Rebuild Kit. Start first by installing the new swivel seal. Be sure to get the seal flush with the edge of the cap. Turn the swivel cap over and install the rod wiper. Note that the rod wiper should sit flush with the swivel cap. Wipe off excess grease. Apply a small amount of grease on the inside of the cap and the outside of the bearing shaft to ease installation. Place the swivel cap on the bearing shaft, making sure the seal is facing up when installing the cap into the bearing shaft. You will need to use an O-ring pick or small screwdriver to assist the rod wiper over the lip on the bearing shaft. Next, prepare the bearings for installation. Using lithium or similar compound grease, pack the 6 bearing sets. Please note, take care to not overpack the bearing. Once you've packed the bearings, the next step is to place the bearings on the bearing shaft. The first 4 bearings need to be installed race down. This is how you visually identify race down. The remaining 2 bearings are placed inner race up. Install the castle nut onto the end of the bearing shaft. Make sure the castle nut lines up with the hole located on the bearing shaft. Drive the roll pin into its designated space at the end of the bearing shaft. The O-ring is installed next. Simply slide the O-ring over the bearings so that it rests against the swivel cap. You are now ready to install your rebuilt cartridge into the swivel body. Reinstall the socket head cap screws by rotating the clevis to reveal their positions. Remember, you have 8 screws in total. Once the screws are in place, you will need to tighten them to the appropriate torque with a torque wrench. Move in a crisscross pattern for an even seal. The torque values are specified in the swivel owner's manual. If necessary, replace the grease zerk using a socket wrench. Be sure and grease your swivel before its next trip underground.